Hey guys, H.E. McEachern here from unusuallyremarkable.com, and today I have the privilege of filming in the Big Apple. It is really cold here. What's the degrees here? About 20 degrees, Sheila? My sister-in-law's in here with me, so I may refer to her. So it's about 20 degrees outside. As you guys know, I live in Naples, Florida, where right now it's probably about 75 degrees. So I had to break out my Atlanta winter gear. I'm from Atlanta, and I'm glad I kept some of my winter clothes. Today's video is Lioness Defined Part 2. For those of you who have not got a chance to read the blog, I released a written blog last week about Lioness Defined Part 1 and talked about the characteristics of a lioness and how trapped inside of each insecure, timid, scared, afraid woman is a bold, fierce leader lioness. And so if you have not got a chance to read that blog, I will put it in the description box below. So today is part 2, and I promised you on last week's blog entry that I would be talking about a situation where I started becoming very timid, and it was a situation that happened when I was young. The defining moment for when I decided that I didn't want to be a lioness, and I started to become a domesticated feline. Okay, and basically what that means is just that I gave up the ability to want to be a powerful young lioness or a young lady, and I started shrinking. So I want you to think about something. When you were young, I want you to try to identify, well, first let me say this. I want you to identify now what are the areas that maybe you are not so strong in, or maybe you feel like you have some inadequacies about, or you feel insecure about. And I want you to think back very deeply, and sometimes you overlook it because you have been operating in this for so long you don't realize it. But I want you to think back to the time when the seed was first planted, because a lot of people don't realize by the time a child is 2, they have already started developing their behavior patterns, right? And so we think that, oh, they're too young, terrible twos. Okay, you have to get them when they're during that age because they really are forming their behavior patterns. And by the time you're 16, 17 years old, your belief system is pretty much in place. So your life after that is just a repeat of things that's happened, things you believe, and many times you have to unlearn those things. But if you're unaware of what's happening, then your life is just a repeat of the mistakes, the thought processes, the beliefs, your core belief system of what you formed from birth up to 16, 17 years old. So I realized that I played small for whatever reason. I shrunk, I felt inadequate. Oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. And so one day I said, where did this truly and really come from? So I took a course, and it was talking about these core things and how, things happen when you were young, you just don't realize it. So I said, well, I don't think I've had any really traumatic experiences. So my mom passed away when I was 14, but my mom believed in me, so it wasn't her. And my dad, he's a jokester. He would say certain things. I'm like, but no, I don't think that's it. Something really happened before them. And so here's a little story that I remember. I was in the 5th grade, and I was in elementary school in Georgia. And during that time, I'll be very frank, as you're growing up, young kids, boys, girls, you're going through that stage. Now they're a lot more advanced. But then you're liking each other, you're going through maturity and puberty, and so you're growing in certain areas. And it was a young boy who wanted to be disrespectful, and he tried to touch me in a way that he should not have. Well, when you're young, you don't really see color, and your friends are just your friends. You learn to be racist, you learn to be limited in your thinking. And he was trying to be inappropriate. And so they were in the back of the line. And I'll just be frank, it was a group of young African-American kids, and they were in the back of the line. And I said, you know what? They kept trying to touch me. I said, you know what? I don't want to do this. And so I left and went to the front of the line. Well, the front of the line were where the Caucasian kids were. And to me, I'm just getting away from the madness. Well, I will never forget. I remember like it was yesterday. That's how distinct this moment was. And we were headed to the cafeteria, going to lunch. And I remember running up to the front of the line with my other friends and said, you know what? I'm getting away from these crazy boys. And we got in the lunchroom. I guess he was angry that I went to the front of the line. And he looked at me in my eye, and he so fiercely told me, You are a sorry excuse for a black girl. You are Oreo. You are black on the outside and white on the inside. You are a sorry excuse. And when he said that to me, I didn't know what to think. Like, why would you say that to somebody? And I just, whatever, blew it off. But what I didn't realize, first of all, what fifth grader is saying. So clearly, what fifth grader is mentally putting that together? Well, maybe in today's age, okay, but then, what do you mean sorry excuse for a black girl? What does that even mean? But it stuck with me and I didn't realize it. And that was my defining moment. Now, we know that kids can be cruel and they say crazy things, and you think sticks and stones and break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Not true. Not true. It's things that people have said to you that stuck your whole life, and you just bury yourself under it and act like it doesn't exist. So he said this to me, and I thought it didn't matter. But then when I went back and start analyzing my behaviors, my activities, why all of a sudden I start thinking that, H.E., you can't do this. You can't accomplish this. You're not qualified to do this. You're not smart enough. You're not bright enough. You don't have this attribute or this, that, and the other. And I went back and I said, why do I feel this way? And that was the moment. And so that replayed in my head all of these years saying, you're not good enough. You're a sorry excuse. And so for me, I took out the whole black woman thing. It was, you are a sorry excuse for a woman. And that is what replayed in my head. And so that was the point where I no longer stepped up to the plate. It was the point where everything just became mediocre for me. And that was a seed that was planted. Now, I am a communicator, as you can tell. And I am very big, and I'm an advocate for youth and young ladies on just talking. You never know what someone is going through until you talk to them, you listen to them, and you ask them questions. You will never know what's going on. And my mother talked to me. We had a great relationship. But I really needed someone to really dig deep, because had someone uprooted that seed, I think that would have helped in my progression of, wait a minute, who cares what he says? You are good enough. You are worthy to accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. You are smart enough. I was a very smart young lady, but it got to the point that it was just like, oh, I'm not as smart as I think I am. I can't do this. In the back of my head, yeah, that's right, you can't. You're a sorry excuse. And so I want you to think about that defining moment. For those of you who may have problems and situations and inadequacies, dig deep. It's not easy, because I didn't just identify this in one setting, but it may be easy for you. But for me, it took a while. And you have to go back. And for me, it was bigger than uprooting a seed, because at this point, it took root and the tree formed and even bared fruit. So my journey is killing it at its root. And sometimes when you kill a tree at its root, it is a process. Just because you put something down to kill it doesn't mean the tree vanishes back into the ground, all the fruit dries up. It is a process. And so that is a journey that I am in, and that I am here to assist you in, to help you get through that. And so this is part 2 of Lioness Defined. And so that was my defining moment of when I backed down from being a young, fierce lioness in training to being a domesticated feline, wanting to be comfortable, not wanting to embrace the wilderness and the unpredictable environment of being who I knew I was created to be. So I will continue in part 3 next week. I want to thank you guys for supporting me, for coming by, for watching, for reading my blogs, for commenting, subscribing. You can find me on Facebook, of course, here on YouTube. I'm on all forms of social media. But connect with me. Let me know what was your defining moment. And if you found a way out of it, if you are finding your way out of it, or if you would like to find your way out of it. We all have it. Just find it and then start working on it, chunking it down. So again, H.E. McEachern, unusuallyremarkable.com, live from the Big Apple in New York City. So I will talk to you guys later. And remember to dare to be unusually remarkable. See you next week. Bye for now. Hey guys, HE Hair here. Ooh, my last name's McKeachern. I'm no longer a hair. I'm a McKeachern. I'm married now.